It's Rose from the Painted Toad, and today we're painting a harvest pumpkin. I started with a flat brush, and I'm using yellow, orange, yellow, and a little bit of white. And I'm putting all three on the flat brush, as you can see here. And then I'm just curving each side here to get the roundness of the pumpkin. And we'll do... So we kind of make it to the middle, and then this middle one has curves both ways, so then I just take my brush and fill it in both ways. Just like that. And I think that looks pretty cool. That's a good yellow pumpkin. And I feel like the background should be some sort of contrasting color, like yellow and purple contrast really well. So I'm just going to have some fun. I've got some really bright, this is kind of a bright purple. I think I'll try a little bit of this. And then I'm also going to throw in some of my blue because I love how that looks. What colors of blue do I have here? I think I'll use my phthalo blue here, this dark blue. And then maybe one other purpley color or blue color. Let me see. Oh, this is pretty. Gray purple. That's kind of a pretty color. All right, I'm going to try that one. Oh, this one isn't even open yet. All right. Open it up. Okie dokie. So I'm going to take a round brush and have a little bit of fun with some textures with my round brush. And I'm going to kind of do a little bit of everything. So I'm just going to kind of dab around here with the purple, and this is just kind of having fun and experimenting. You can try something different, maybe if you have a different brush you want to try. And then I'm going to dip it in some of this other color, this blue. Let them kind of mix. And then let's try this color. Let's see how that looks. It'd be tricky getting around the edge here. Maybe just take a little. Because if you mix the purple and the yellow, it'll start to turn brown. So be careful if your yellow is still wet. And then we'll just add texture on top of that. What do you think of that? That actually looks pretty cool. See, this is how I discover things when I'm painting. When you just play around like this, you can discover like the coolest textures and color combinations, and then you can use those in your paintings. Like, you know, I might include this technique in one of our upcoming paintings to get a cool textured background. The tricky part is getting around our pumpkin. Now, technically, we could have done the whole background and then done a masked pumpkin, but that's okay. We'll just work around it. Now what I'm going to do is take my ultrafine brush here with some orange, and I'm going to create some curved lines to give our pumpkin a little bit more dimension. Just like we did when we were laying down the other paint, I'm curving the lines in one direction on one side of the pumpkin, and then on the other side we got to go in the other direction. Next, I'm going to take some of my yellow orange and also a little bit of white to tone down these lines and blend them into the pumpkin a little bit better so it doesn't look so liney. So you can see I'm adding a little bit of white right there. And I'm just going to let that blend in to get more of a natural look to it so it doesn't have a bunch of stripes on it. Now I'm going to take a round brush, just a small round brush here, and I am adding some black, and I'm just kind of dabbing this in here to add a little bit of a different shade here to the bottom so that my pumpkin looks grounded, like it's sitting on something and not floating away into the sky. Let me grab my liner brush here, and I'm still using black, and I am painting in a little stem. And each of those, I don't know if you call them spokes of this stem, this is where the vine attaches. So they kind of go into the grooves, and then I'm going to make a nice curly stem here. I'm rinsing my brush, and then I'm going to add just a touch of white on there. And that kind of is going to give it some dimension. There's a lot of white on there, but this is all about layers, so you can go back in and you can layer it if you need to. But this is a little highlight here. It gives it a more of a 3D look when you give it a little highlight. And then I'm going to go back into my paint and just tone down the highlights just a tad. So I'm leaving a little bit of it behind. But there we go. The other night there was a big harvest moon in the sky. So I think that would look great with this painting. I'm going to just use a round brush and some white and some of my yellow orange here and just kind of swirl and make a big golden moon that's going to be shining down on this pumpkin. Of course, we'll also need some stars, and this is one of my favorite tricks. I do this a lot. I'm going to use a wooden skewer and just dot, dot, dot my stars on there. You just dip it in the paint and then you just add the little dots to get lots of little stars. If the moon is shining, then we need a little bit of moonlight here on our pumpkin. So I'm going to take some whites and add a nice shiny highlight right here on that waxy surface of our pumpkin. A little bit of water drip there. I'm soaking it up. And go back in here. I'm just using my liner brush again. So there we go. And then there might be just a little bit of light catching over on this side of the pumpkin. Just a little bit, not as much, just a little bit of the moonlight shining on there. So a little highlight on that side and a bigger one over on this right hand side. Back to my stem, I'm going to add my vine a little bit more of the white on there. Just highlights again, catching that moonlight. I know we painted it white and then brown, and now I'm just doing a touch more white again. So sometimes, you know, as you're working, you might come back to an area, add a little bit more here or there. The other thing that would happen is this stem here would cast a little shadow. So I mixed a very, very, very little bit of my dark brown in with my yellow orange, and I'm going to create a shadow here of the stem kind of stretching across the pumpkin. And it's always, shadows are always kind of stretched out. They don't look exactly like the shape, but they kind of resemble the shape. So that's what I'm doing right here. And for a finishing touch, we need just a little bit of a highlight down here on our surface, the ground, or whatever it is, our pumpkins. I guess it's kind of sitting out in the field. I'm just using a little bit of the white and I'm dabbing it in here. It's a bit of moonlight shining down, and this will give our painting a beautiful luminous look. Pumpkin also needs a shadow underneath. So I'm just using my liner brush here. I'm kind of filling in some of these spots where I didn't get real close to the pumpkin. And with the shadow of an object, the darkest part of the shadow is right under the object. So I am using my black and getting kind of right up close and underneath here. And then I'll just fill that in a little bit darker. It doesn't show up that great in the video quality, but in the final picture, you'll kind of be able to see the differences. Sometimes the video doesn't always catch the light and dark areas. You can see that pretty good there. So I'm creating a shadow, and this is going to be kind of an oblong shadow because it's roundish like our pumpkin, but it's going to be stretched out. It's amazing what a little bit of black and white can do to really add some dimension to your paintings. Just touching up the edge here. I was working in my mixed media pad, so I will probably, my plan is I'll probably paint this one bigger on a canvas. I really love how it turned out, but it's always fun to do little practice paintings. If you have a mixed media pad, it's a great place to work where you're not afraid of, you know, making mistakes because it's just practice. So I really love how this one turned out. So I'm going to sign it and we will call it done. And I hope you enjoy this painting tutorial. And I want to remind you to be creative, be artistic, and get connected. add the painted toad. This is Rose. Thanks for watching.